Like when I made part one of this, you never know. You get bugs at like an hour and a half sometimes, so you know it's capable of like 2+ hours. You got a decent sized little SD card. So now let's go into the deep shit, right? Figured I should just make this a whole nother part. Yeah, I'm gonna upload them one after another if I do that either way. It really doesn't make a difference. Now, let's find out the truth, right? Where did it begin, right? We already know from the earlier one I made that Zacharias' system is a complete hoax. They only believe in 5 planets. You know, I have pretty much all that on here, so I'm just going to pull that back in. Yep. Summarize why Zacharias' system is mistranslated. He's basically just controversial. If you didn't see part 1, like nobody believes in him. None of the real scientists, none of the people that actually have academia and all that kind of stuff on there. It doesn't match any of the actual translations. You know, it's just a lot of stuff he made up, popularized a whole bunch of terms and stuff. Furthermore, some of such claims as an extraterrestrial planet is not really proven at all. It's an Anunnaki and Sumerian language term. Anunnaki does appear. Play this music, man. But it's not Anunnaki. That's something that's, you know, he made up. It's not how it's translated. He's actually talking about the only word that's close to that is Anuna, right? Anunnaku, which refers to a group of ancient Methuselan deities that were considered the gods of the underworld. This is talking about really Babylon, because I'm going to show you, this thing doesn't know what it's talking about. It's talking about Babylon. Babylon brought up all these extra gods, these lesser gods, that's what they call them. When you look at the actual encyclopedia and stuff like that, you know, the real truth, you know, it's basically these 4 primary guys that I brought up earlier: Anu, Enlil, Enki, and, you know, the mother, you know. That's pretty much it. Forever 4, remember? I've been telling you about the 4, Forever 4. Like on YouTube, I have the guys from Darksiders, the Forever 4, and then here I just got a picture of me. But my name, you see the 4s, my name, even the decoding of my name is 432 in Hebrew. There's a lot more to it. Like, let me go up here. You see, I got the this Goku Black, but it's the same sharp sickle guy that was in the Darksiders game. Because the game, I started talking about all this stuff, and then the Asians figured it out, because to do is to figure out who I am through that. And also this stuff resonates with me because of that. But yeah. So what was I asking about? Oh yeah, I was going through just summarizing why he's an actual failure. Tell me who the Sumerian gods are. Let me make sure I answered this right. Yeah, not the guys that are in the world, not these lesser guys. Zacharias, you see, Zacharias Sitchin, he's the one who popularized that term. It's not like, why would they be the guys of the underworld if they're in outer space, you know? These, what do they call them, ancient astronauts or whatever, the so-called creators or whatever, but not the whole universe like the real guys would, which that's what they believed they were. The Sumerians believed these were real gods, like the air, you know, the sky, the earth, you know, things that actually matter. Sumerian pantheon, see Anu, the sky, in the middle of the air, you know, storms and stuff like that. The sky, kind of, not really the sky. That's when they talk about the sky and the heavens. You see, they talk about the firmament, not like the atmosphere. You know what I mean? Even though the atmosphere is probably part of it, but you see this air up there, and then that's why air starts to dissipate when you get towards heaven. the firmament, the ball above. That's what moves, not us. It's the side of the ball. We're inside the ball, and it's fractal, so it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and smaller and smaller and smaller, and that's why he who is inside of you is greater than he who is in the world, because you got like infinite potentiality inside of you, and you know, it's like God and stuff like that. But in this world, there's only certain things, and the gods obviously hasn't put their full favor in this world. Though, you know, it's the possibility of that, especially if you praise God, and God will do great things for you, like make you immortal. That's what they did to our, the real Enoch, not Enoch, Noah. He's similar to Enoch. Remember how they took Enoch, who's related to Noah, really closely? They took him to heaven, like, so he lived forever, basically. I think it's similar, but, maybe just Noah ended up immortal, and Enoch actually went up to heaven, I wouldn't be surprised. It's been offered to more than one person according to their teachings. And all these lesser guys. Just a few examples of the many deities. It's basically every state does have their own city, and the city and stuff usually does have their own. That's why in the flood, they had to figure out, in Egypt, they had to figure out which one of the gods was over the flood, where he was born and all that. And the high priest figured all that out. And on top, they taught him how to make the pyramids. Not only did he assure him that the water would work, but the pyramids were actually a part of the worship to get that to happen. That's why you can have a place like Egypt where it's really like a desert, but they're somehow getting water, you know what I mean? It's kind of miraculous, isn't it? Looking at what it is now without that blessing. Because nobody's really worshiping the gods there, you see? So that's why it's a desert now. It's really simple when you know the truth, isn't it? It's quite empowering, too. But these guys are of the underworld. They're of Babylon. They're the monsters that the gods fought against. The children of Lilith. I've been telling y'all about. The serpent seed, that naturally wars against the people of God that Inky created. Because according to this, one of the gods, supposedly Enlil, I don't believe it was Enlil because they like to demonize Enlil. I believe it's just like it says in some of their stories. It was never Enlil. It was usually sometimes Enlil fighting against this monster. It was either him or Inky, interchangeably. And they would fight against the monster, and they would beat him. And then, this monster was fighting against the gods, and it created all these other monsters that we see that were trying to take over the kingdom of all the kingdoms, really. The underworld was just like the Lord of the Rings. I've explained that several times. I'm pretty sure you're getting the idea where I'm coming from, but I don't want to insult people. Nations were. That's why they called them barbarians. Look. The barbarian legend, Babylon. That's what does Babylonian sound like? Barbarian, right? The Babylonian legend creation. Where is it? Of the barbarians, the Babylonians seem to pass over in silence. Look, but of the Babylonians, like the rest of the barbarians, pass over in silence. You see? But the Babylonians, like the rest of the barbarians, remember they came from the mountains. The Gutians are these pale-skinned people, came from the mountains. I don't make up nothing. You think I'm just here trying to insult you? No, I'm just telling the truth, buddy. The Gutians were people that lived in the mountains of modern day, right? They were described as barbarians. But it's described people at different... They were barbarians, man. It's clearly. The Gutians were skilled warriors and horsemen. They were also known for their use of bronze weapons and armor. They invaded Mesopotamia in the 22nd century, right when it became Babylon, you see, and conquered the Akkadian Empire. Gushans ruled the Mesopotamia for about 100 years, but they were eventually overthrown. And it still became Babylon. Remember, they started taking on the Israelites started taking on the traditions of their captors. So that's when it became Babylon. The Gushans are often portrayed as barbarians. Fuck this stupid shit. I'm just gonna go straight through. You know what I love about Wikipedia? They actually give you citations. I already explained this in an earlier one, but I'm gonna do it again. They were all the kingdoms were getting hit by them at once. It was Enlil, according to them, but I know that's not Enlil. He's not the guy of the monsters. He often does want to do harm to people, but that was only at the flood, and that was before they started worshiping the gods. Once they started worshiping the gods, everything was cool. Let's show you that. Really not showing it. Wow. So sad they tried to hide that. But I got a pretty good memory. Oh, that's a whole nother weekend. Why don't you bring up their real history, you know? Oh, here we go. What did he bring forth, though? Enlil brought out of the mountains those who do not resemble other people, who are not reckoned as part of the land. That's why you guys have RH negative blood, because you're not made by the same God. You see what I mean? You got totally different blood from us. And bridal people with human intelligence. Remember the smartest of the snake, of the beast? Remember? But canine instincts, you see, and monkey features. That's why they have no lips. You know, some of them have really transparent skin, like the rhesus monkey. You know, it's just showing that they're kind of like base. You know, basic. Like the most basic part of our brain is like the monkey and the reptilian brain. Monkey is literally like one step above the reptilian brain. You know what I mean? Like small birds, they swoop down the ground in great flocks because of Enlil, they stretch their arms. You see that an angel or fallen, what is it? I know it's not Enlil. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't go this far. Maybe he did, who knows? But the person that was creating these monsters was the enemy of the gods, not gods. Trust me. Like that's clearly like never been the case. Like they stretched out their arms across. These are basically these are the underworlders. That's why they started trying to get people to worship the Anunnaki, the underworlders, instead of the gods of the sky, Anu, you know, and the air and the earth and all that stuff, and the water that gives us life. Instead of some underworld crap, you know what I mean? The lesser gods that came later. That's what they wanted to worship, like these beastie type of things. Remember, what did the devil say? What did the devil say? He wanted to put his stars above God's. Oh, I thought it was about the underworld. No, they want to act like they're the Most High. You see, when God's all about the, you know, being the Most High in heaven, is above and stuff like that, not below, not the underworld. Don't worship the underworld. That's the devil. That's Hades. That's a bad place. You know, have you ever seen the catacombs? They got them all over the place, and they're all underground. Gee, I wonder why. All underground. These immense graveyards of skeletons, looking like somebody was making like a souvenir or, you know, some kind of memento for their glory. And it's all in the places where Rome went. Isn't that funny? Funny. Give me the little underworld friends, the little fairy changeling friends, shape-shifting dog man, dog intelligence. I mean, dog canine instinct. You know what I mean? Yeti animal people, like monsters, bro. I'm trying to tell you. That's what we're dealing with. And they pretend to be people. That's why they eat little kids and stuff like that. They're monsters, literally. That's what we're doing. Blood. And what did the Bible say when Samaria fell and became Babylon? Only these type of people, monsters, the goats, you know, they call them devils. You know, remember the devil has his horns and looks like a goat. Remember? That's these saviors, these fairy creatures, these changing shapeshifters. They're the ones who inherited it. And started, you know, holding these guys captive, really. And just kind of in the background, just like they did Rome for a while before they overthrew it and made it crash. And then they did the same thing in Egypt, pretended like they were the Egyptians. So why do you think those people look just like the fake Egyptians we have over there right now? They're not the natural Egyptians. Just like most of the people in the Middle East are not the natural people there. They got mixed in. They got mixed in with each other. They mixed in with the hairy people and all that stuff. And that's why they're like that now. That's why they're so pale skinned compared to Ethiopia, you know. That's why they don't look as good, you know. They look like the he-goat, you know, call them the satyr and all that stuff, the devils. And then they poisoned the world. They poisoned their place too, like, you know, because of endless stretch out. And nothing could escape the clutches. They were using like guerrilla tactics, like hit and run. They sabotaged them and made them, you know, sabotage basically. Just like John F. Kennedy said, they don't come with armies by day, they come with assassins and sabotage by night, you know? And they stretched out their arms across a plain like a net for animals. Nothing got out of their grasp. Messengers no longer traveled the highways. You see, they shut them down. The curious boat no longer passed along the rivers. They didn't fight them straight up. They attacked their supply chain. The Grecians drove the trusty goats out of their folds and compared their herdsmen to follow them. They drove the cows out of the pens and compelled the cow herds to follow them. Presently, this man to watch. Brigands occupied the highlands, doors of the city gates, and the land lay dislodged in mud. Remember that mud? Remember the mud? Remember the mud flood? So apparently that's a part of their assault. They somehow, I guess because some kind of, you know, fallen god that's on the wrong side of things, they're able to do that. They're able to cause these mud floods, you see? That's why there was the mud flood in these great civilizations. And then they were busting later on these trains. And why they're using horses to pull vehicles that we know are motorized now. And that were electrically powered. You see? And why they pretended like they built these cities overnight, which we know is impossible. At these world fairs, they pretended like they built them overnight. We can't even do that today. Like, give me a break. So obvious it just overran everywhere. It wasn't that long ago either. Drove out the trusty. They can talk to the animals, so it's just like, remember Nope, the movie Nope, with the alien, and it was really like an animal though. That's why they run around naked. It's not like technology, it's just a natural advantage that they were given by the gods. You see, like, because these are monsters we're dealing with. They're not like the beautiful humanoid looking stuff that some people see. It's like, that's why it's not positive influence, it's not positive interactions with the gray aliens. Every time I met gray aliens in the spirit, they were very negative. They were never good. You know, they're the enemy. and they look like a monster because that's what they are. And they're the ones who abduct people and do the bad things to them. And what was I gonna say? This is more to it or whatever. I remember I met one. They always had that really panicky feel to them that makes some people paralyzed. But they always have that really strong panicky feel to them when they're coming. You know they're coming because you'll feel that panicky feeling. You'll know it before they even come. You'll feel it like half a minute before. And next thing you know, they're coming out of some fucking corner you never saw coming. You just feel them coming. Yes, I felt one coming one time, and it was coming through my window. And I just knew it was coming through the fucking window because I was in spirit for it. And when they tried to come through my window, I punched it. And they bit my hand because it's an animal. It's not like me. Not spiritual, like intelligent. So, bit my hand, but I know I broke it in pieces with that punch. You may hearing about these people that came across aliens and they were able to beat them with punches. But they couldn't do shit with their gun. That's what I heard, I'm telling you the truth. So weakening spirit power. That's all over our body. That's why they fought in the old days against these things. They fought with swords and stuff. But the swords actually have like an electromagnetic ability to shoot like these waves and stuff like that, like something out of an anime. It's unbelievable. Anyway, so Lucians, barbarians, I was talking to the animals, just like in Nope. Remember, to control the animals and create fake animals and stuff like that. It's just like in Hinduism. The demons, the bad, the monsters and stuff like that, they would try and interrupt the rest of the gods. And that's what this is all about. That's reiterated in Sumeria. This is all about the real guys trying to get rest. And they try and make like it's the new guys, but it's really these monsters that are trying to keep us from resting. They don't want us to rest because we can astral project while their power is fully in this world, you see. Like an animal. They're real strong, real spiritually seeing shit you ain't seeing. But when you're in your real form, your spirit form, you see everything. You see things an animal will never see. You know, like because dreaming is based on what you like where you are mentally. The animals are nowhere near where we are mentally. They got their own little thing. So that's why you'll see some animal guys in heaven, and you'll see human looking gods in heaven. See? There's some kind of hybrid gods in heaven. But there's the true gods we all know. Like Cepheus, who sits on his throne, is at the head of the north, you see? And he doesn't move. He's got his foot right on the top of the serpent, you know, the Draconis, that constellation. He's got his foot. The only time I've ever seen a constellation move in heaven throughout history, it moved to the north and just sat. That is, he's got his feet on the head of the serpent. So that's why it controls the animals and all that stuff. And it makes copies. The doors of the cities, the gate, and the land they dislodged with mud. Remember mud flood and all this stuff they built with mud. And all the foreign lands uttered bitter cries from the walls of the cities. They established gardens for themselves within the cities. And not as on the wide plain outside, as if it had been before the times when cities were built before, as if it had been before the time of the cities were built and founded. Like they're building in a whole nother way. Like these guys are used to being civilized. These guys are living in what you would consider barbaric or nomadic type of way. They establish gardens themselves within the cities and not outside in the wide plains. Yeah. So they built stuff inside the cities instead of outside. That's kind of weird. Yeah. And the large arable tracts yielded no grain. The inundated tracts yielded no fish. How does that happen? Remember, they said they had no respect for the gods, right? These Grecian people. And what are the gods? Like nature, you know? So remember, if the gods don't bless you, nothing is going to grow, you see? So that's why nothing grew. They had no fish. They had orchards, but nothing grew from it, you see? And then they had these thick clouds, and they wouldn't even get rain. Sounds like China, you know? Because China, that's why they say China has lost the blessing of the gods, you see? The mandate of heaven, because they know China's an ancient culture. They know this kind of stuff. That's why a lot of stuff resonates with me, like I said. Like endless anime after anime. It's like, oh, you got the power of the gods. They're doing this and that, you know? And yeah, it's really powerful stuff. So I'm trying to tell you. And yeah, that's why people in the Bible are usually people that honor God, and then God bless them, you know? Like Israel, all of it. And yeah, this also sounds like they poisoned their location because they had no respect for the gods. We know that little about the deities of the Grecian rulers worshipped because they did not follow God. See? We do not know that they did follow God. They didn't. They're not putting that in here, but this other guy knows clearly that they did not respect the gods. But they respected the underworld, and they started that Babylonian crap. They love a sin and all this trash. Grecians. Respect the gods. I forget what they called them, like revered them or something. They didn't know the ways to honor the God. They're basically atheists, just like a typical Grecian nowadays. We're unhappy people, unaware how to revere the gods, ignorant of the right cultic practices, you see? I'll make up a damn thing. You see the Grecian dynasty? What are these colors right here? Those are the Ethiopian colors. See? The colors of the real Semitic people, right? They made all this shit. You see? And then it's the colors of Ethiopia. It's the Rastafari. Yeah, the kings. Kings of kings. Yeah, they didn't respect it. They're pale skinned, dog like, monkey feet, blonde hair. So, see how they got blonde hair? Got blonde hair. That's what I say about that. It basically ended the golden age, and it wasn't that long. It was pretty long, but not that long. So what else did I have in a different part? First pyramids, blah blah blah. They don't really know. I remember that. I had to ask it, did Imhotep? It tries to act like Imhotep didn't. Achievements were significant, unusually. He did not make the ones in Giza, which were constructed later. He only made the first one. You see what I mean? And the most important one, the one that was made out of straight up, it's like the biggest one, it's the dozer one, it's the biggest one. It's made out of limestone. He didn't make the other ones. He made the first one. You see, they were made later. He was in the third. They were in the fourth. How were the pyramids built? Quarrying, they believe it's quarrying. Ramps, none of that makes sense, you know. That's why none of that made no sense. It was simple concrete. Imagine people look at our buildings, right? And we know we made it with concrete, right? And they think it's one big stone, you know what I mean? That's what people are thinking when they look at the pyramids, because of ignorance, you know. Other guys at Babylon, I've already went through that. You see, they talk about Babylon. Did I say Babylon? Oh, okay, I did. Excuse me. I think I already asked who the guys at Samaria were, though. No, I guess I did it backwards. Huh. Interesting. See Marduk, Bel. Bel's in that's not a good thing in the Bible, I'm telling you. They got all this stuff. Where's Anu? Where's Enlil? You know? Who's the real mother? Remember Zechariah tried to say those 12 planets? No, they did not believe in 12 planets. They had a good understanding. Astrology and time and other time and recorded their observation. Between the 4 tablets, there were 5 that they believed in. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. However, their knowledge of these planets was limited compared to... Yeah, that's what you think. And then it was Zechariah Bolt, the liar, that came up with the 12 planets and all that crap. That still hasn't appeared at all. The planet that they're talking about when they bring up Nibiru is Jupiter. Jupiter is associated with Marduk. It's clearly it. And then it has a long passage that's elliptical compared to the other planets. And then if it and Saturn, which people believe is the other planet that's in the mythology that they intertwine, that's why you have the asteroid belt in between Jupiter and Saturn. It's so fucking obvious. But these idiots would rather believe in all this fairy tale stuff about a planet that doesn't exist. I know there's extra stars and stuff like that, you know? But they're minor compared to these. And they actually consider these planets gods, which is something that's like all over the planet. You know, they even call Jesus Venus, you know, the bright morning star and stuff. And I was able to enhance these things and make them power up and stuff. Especially Jupiter and Venus. Mercury is important too. Like I showed you, Earth is Mercury. Earth is the sun. Earth is the moon. You see the continents and stuff like reflected in the moon. And all kinds of extra stuff. It's just like rings and, like I told you, Earth within another Earth, within another Earth, you know. Layers, you know, like a Russian doll. Like we know the world is. It's fractal. So it's like another one inside the other one, you know. Do they believe aliens created us? No. There's no evidence to suggest that the ancient Sumerians believed the aliens created men. Sumerians had a complex religious system I've already explained to you for the most part. And they don't, in various stories about creation of the world and human beings. According to Sumerian mythology, humans were created by Enki, and that's the wife, that's the mother in the Sumerian creation myth. Enuma. No, that's not the Sumerian one. Elish. You see how they try and claim that's the Sumerian one? No, that's the Babylonian one. From clay and divine essence. And that still doesn't line up with Zechariah's lies. The idea of extraterrestrial beings create humanity is not a part of it. They believe that the gods, you know, not this ancient alien thing that these fringe people are talking about. Are the Sumerian gods physical beings or gods? Context of Sumerian mythology, religious beliefs. Sumerian gods were considered divine beings rather than physical beings. They were believed to possess supernatural powers or reside in the heavens and other realms beyond the mortal world, you see. That's why they created these fractal pyramids. What are the pyramids? It's like I told you. There's one that's bigger, and then one that's smaller, and then one that's a little smaller, and then one is a little smaller. Like I told you, with the heavens and where our world is, it's fractal. told you. That's what they're showing you. That's why it has the power to, to glorify the gods, you see. And that's what my power is in general. It's like this power that I told you relates to that. And that's why my name is 432 and all that. Actually has to do with kaleidoscope and all this stuff and fractals. Like 90% of it has to do with God and Ra and all this, everything. Sumerian gods, everything. Just that, that's just me. And to show you that, it's a whole minute story. You can look that up on my page. And yeah. So that's why they're built like that. It's a fractal. That's what the world is. Responsible for various, the Sumerians were viewed as gods of immortal and all-powerful entities responsible for various aspects of life and nature. Anthropomorphic, meaning they depicted human-like forms and emotions. The gods were they had their own divine personality, desires, and village each other. Prayers, sacrifices, rituals, seek favor, protection, blessings. Same thing in Hinduism. Same thing with the Bible. What did Noah do as soon as he landed from the flood? He created a temple for God. You see, he created like an altar or something. You know? That's what it's about. It's like this. It's not complicated. They're all talking about the same thing. That's why the pyramids are everywhere, all the way to the South Pole, everywhere. It's just the underworld kind of fooled these people and thinking, some stupid stuff happened. But God never told them to sacrifice their own kids. It's ridiculous. Temples were dedicated to specific deities and priests, played a vital role in carrying out the religious ceremonies and maintaining divine order. Just like the God in Egypt, how you stopped the flood and built the pyramids, the temples to the gods. The Sumerians considered their gods to be divine and beyond mortal comprehension. It's important to know that the dynasty clearly reached everywhere, and it's not really Egyptian. Egypt's just one of the places where they were worshiping the gods. It's just one place. They're worshiping the gods all over the place. At these specific locations that are on the ley lines that they call holy. What type of used pyramids, grain silos, that's old stuff. The word Nibiru is actually in there, but it's spelled different. And it's got to do with Jupiter. It's spelled like Ni, B, Ru, instead of Nibiru. The term is associated with the celestial object that has to do with like the crossing, like the Passover, you see what I mean? Or orbit, I think. I don't remember. The celestial object features Sumerian Akkadian text. However, it's essential. Nibiru was. Hold on, I'm trying to. Nibiru was associated with Jupiter. You see? That's all it is, Jupiter. They're both associated with Marduk. Even if you don't believe this, which somehow it knew, it made it harder to find it later. And I was like, it's not hard to figure out, because they're both associated with Marduk. It's supposed to be a planet of kingship, remember? A point in the sky rather than, it's either Jupiter or a point in the sky rather than an unknown mysterious planet. The contemporary association because Zachariah Sitchin, see? He's claiming all this bull crap that's not supported by any kind of thing that matters. I got there's the Arab, it doesn't understand. It's Arab even though they were all over North Africa, and that's why the Persians and all that stuff were constantly, it's basically just the Shemitic people fighting amongst themselves. and also pushing away Rome in their crusades. But here they say they were just like a mix of people. They don't understand that like, who else is gonna conquer like Spain besides, like someone great like Egypt or the Semitic people. And then they try and act like they're not Semitic when all their languages are Semitic, man. I'm gonna make this thing make itself look stupid. Let me just do it this way. Like the guy that was debunking Zachariah's session was an expert in Semitic languages. This is so fucking stupid. Oh yeah, they don't know the Sumerian language, but the Assyrian one did, and Babylon. You see, all the other ones that came after Sumeria just so happen to be Semitic, because I told you that's where Abraham came from. That's where we came from. We came out of Babylon. Remember, he left it, and his dad was like an idol worshiper and stuff. Kind of reminds me of me and my dad. My dad, he kind of like out of touch with God, in my opinion, sometimes. But he's not as bad as Abraham's dad was. I don't think so at all. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is Semitic. They try to say they're not Semitic. It's literally right in the middle of Semitic territory. And they're trying to say this, Egypt, and all this stuff is like so sub-Saharan people created. No, the kings, the civilized kings, the people of the gods created this stuff. Like, not no people kicking dust, like that. To this day, you go to sub-Saharan Africa, there are no pyramids down there. I mean, maybe a few, but they're still living like not civilized. And then look at Middle Eastern people, like they have cities and stuff, like everywhere. They literally like have a military that can fight off our country. Like, it's crazy, man. Hold their own. Like that's elite, you know. Anyway, so what do I go next? Let me get through the rest of the stuff. So that's bullshit. Evolutions, I already explained that. Yeah, it does. I've already seen that. Accretion layers. It didn't understand that when I was talking about that yesterday. See, I had to. I just want to make sure. They asked it. Okay, they tried to act like the Sumerian guys lived with, but again, according to their beliefs, they did not live alongside them. They lived beyond them, beyond the mortal realm. You see, they were not thought to be physically living amongst them. So, who's this king? You know, the king is the high priest. It's just like Jesus is like an avatar God, like their intermediary. That's why he's called the bridge. Where the Sumerians made to be slaves against them. It's another lie of Zachariah and the Babylonians too. The Sumerians did not consider themselves to be slaves, you see? But you'll see that some of their corrupted stuff, they try to make it seem that way. They're not considered slaves of the gods in the sense of forced labor or servitude. Instead, it was more so for blessing. They would do it for blessing. They would worship them for blessing. They had a complex religious system where they viewed their relationship with God as devoted worshipers seeking the favor and blessing. You see, it was a cohabitation. They would get blessings. Their blessings would help the gods, and the gods would help them back. It's a mutual. You see, this belief in the mutual dependence between gods and humans was foundation. You see, that's why they don't want you worshiping God. Because your power, you give power where you give your love. You know, where you put your focus, where you put your prayer, your meditation, your focus. You see. Marduk Enki. The reason I thought that is because literally, like, they created this guy out of nothing. Marduk is actually the son of Enki, supposedly, right? But that's not in their original pantheon. They created this, Babylon created this to try and just basically get rid of everything. Like, even the encyclopedia, the freaking encyclopedia will explain this to you. Watch. Where is it? Is it this one? Yeah. Because I'm going to give you this bull crap first, and then I'll give the other one. The name given to the myth that contains Babylon. See? It's not the Sumerian, it's the Babylons. They're one. That's why they changed everything. Now all of a sudden it's Marduk instead of Anu, Enlil, Enki, and the mother. You know, like, instead of it being those four, now it's all about Marduk. That's it. And now they're physical people and stuff like that, aka fallen angels. You see what I'm saying? Babylon, first millennium, is so-called, in its opening words, the style and content of the poem, in contrast to Sumerian mythology, which attributes the beginning of creation of the cosmos to essential elements, heaven and earth, from which the gods and human race both sprang. Numerous places the origins of the cosmos before the heaven and earth in far time primordial orders. There's the salt water called Tiamat and the sweet water called Epsi. First living things in the cosmos. The sun. In the cosmos, given the prominent part played by salt water and Tiamat. It gets so complicated in this thing. Some have concluded that this must have been a non-Mesopotamian in origin. Yeah, it came from somewhere else. Maybe Syrian or at least Semitic. Yeah, it was one of the other areas. I can't remember that thing. But about 100% sure it's not even them. It's someone from the area. Yeah, it's called the Gutians. They came from the mountains. They're not really Semitic either. This theory is somewhat puzzling because the main god of the myth, Marduk, you see, does not have the qualities of Adad, the main god of Semitic. And Adad, if I remember correct, is Enlil. That's what he is. Let me make sure I know that. Remember Dad? That's why they call your father's Dad. That's why I call the other one Mother. That's so funny. I'm guessing it's Enlil. It could be Enki. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, that's so, man. Because the dad, third son of to Enlil, second son to Enlil. You see how now they're trying to say it's someone's son? You see what I mean? The lesser guys that were causing all the problems. You see this? Who's really in charge of that stuff? Not some son of his. That's Enlil, man. That's why they try to say it's his son that does this stuff. It's really Enlil. According to the original Sumerian stuff, not this Babylonian crap. Only an encyclopedia really understands this crap. So it's basically originally Enlil. And you're going to see how powerful Enlil really is. Like him and Anu and Enki are the really most, and then the mother, like they're the most powerful. Period. So, given prominent part played in soul and all that. So it was crazy. Didn't have the qualities of a dad because he's supposed to take on and absorb Enki more than Enlil because they're trying to betray. They're mad. Like, how do you think they felt after the guys decided to flood them? You know what I mean? Some of them was like, fuck the guys, you know? They're like, they don't want to worship him, you know? They want to hate him. So they probably turned them, you know. And then like the monsters are probably like, see, the gods don't care about you. They try to flood you, you know. It's just not hard to figure why they were able to fool them. You know what I mean? Because they clearly, like the Bible says it, they started to take on these Babylonian cultures instead of forsaking their real gods. You know. And yeah, Marduk usually had to do with the sun, but he's not the real sun god. The real sun god is called Utsu. He actually has his own kingdom. He has his own city and all that. One of the original seven. Remember the seven candlesticks of God, the Alpha and Omega, the menorah? That's where it's from. The seven guys that saved us from everything, you know. From the real flood, the waters before, you know, like it's chaos. That's another way they look at it, you know. And it's in the Bible as well, you know. That's why I was talking about how the flood stories and all these different things, and how it's always in Genesis of all these things. It's a part of the creation. It's like this, the beginning and end. You know, it's this war at the beginning and end of time, the cycles and stuff like that. And see, it's a different story in that Assyro-Babylonian. And it's taken from 7 tablets, closes the words, Marduk, blah blah blah. Actual, let's be quick. Yeah, just stay up and right. 4th day of 11. Nissan. Oh, the month of Nissan. Isn't that so funny? Oh, these guys are not Semitic. They're not Semitic, huh? If you know anything about the Bible, the month of Nisan should be very, very obvious to you. That's a Hebrew month, man. Are you fucking kidding me? They're gonna try to say they're not Semitic. Oh my God, I'm done. So, our traditions in Nisan come from Sumeria. I believe Apsu and Tiamat could have been real. Just looking at this, I got hiccups right now. I need to pause. I really do. I just thought of it. This reminds me of how Jesus was like, I got to be about my Father's business, you know, like doing the work of the gods, you know, getting the worship and praise. Instead of like, it's like either you can praise man and get money, you know, mammon, or you can praise God, you know, get his blessing. Anyways, it's very different. He basically, they're making too much noise. That much I believe is true. Because I believe they bring that up in the other one too. Okay. So this guy's like predating the guys that are normally the highest echelon. I guess you would have to do something like that so you can take away their significance. Even though I believe there are primordials, I only believe that because of the Bible, though, to be honest. But I see it in a lot of cultures, but I'm not sure if it's just a Babylonian thing or the truth, you know. But I do believe that it's very likely. It's very, very likely. I just think it's like one of those things that they deleted from the earliest version, so it's like hard to confirm like how it actually went down. But it's not too hard to figure out. New generation of guys are making too much noise, and it was causing problems with sleep. I told you. That's when I get most of my stuff done. Even like people are like, oh, he's nobody, you know. You know, like literally the gods themselves get their stuff done when they're resting. You know, why do you think they're so pressed about their rest, getting their sleep? Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they had avatars that manifested in the world. You know, at later time, at later periods, and that's where all this confusion came from. Because I think, you know, there were fallen angels as well, like, and then all kinds of things influencing their viewpoint, mostly Babylon. The young gods, however, give no indication of being sorry, so Epsu urged on his herald Mumu plans to destroy the troublemakers. Young gods hear these plans, and yeah, it's not the young gods he's planning on destroying, it's the humans. You see how they twist that? I just realized that. He wanted to destroy the people, and then Ea, just like in the other story, protects them from the attack. And it doesn't say anything about him actually doing that part. That's all from this, you know, from Babylon. It doesn't say that in the other. That he takes some Atsu and takes him out or whatever. And Ea takes over the home of Atsu and settles there, you know, in the fresh waters. He's some hero, myth, martyr. You see, now you see how it works? They're just trying to give it to martyr. And then actually in the more original ones of this, you don't even get that. Like, you don't get that. Nah. Not immediately. Let's kind of play out like this, but a little different. And then now they're making even more noise. Because Ea had all his new stuff. And these enormous monsters and stuff like that. That's true. They do fight against monsters and stuff like that. I do believe that. And Team Monster, Team G will be there, of course. Path to Destiny. Yeah, forms a simple God. Turn. Fusion from Absent. Simple God. Listen to Tiamat to calm her. That's from Stone with the Tap. Enraged, refuses to accept his apologies, so the divine messenger returns empty-handed. If you try this, says the son Anu, returns the same result. The rejection throughout the divine glory. Ever, yeah. This is just like in Perseus and all that stuff, you know. The monster, let's see. His father goes and Anshaw going to God's plan. It's pretty powerful. God's he is victorious. God's assembly and agree grant him power. You see, it's basically why the fuck would the gods give their power? You know, I don't even want to read the rest of this treason, but like, cause when I say shit, it has power, bro. I didn't even read it. You can look at it. I'm reading in my head. This is cheerful, fighting, weapons, combat. Creates everything out of Tiamat, apparently. Claims. Made the heavens above, apparently. Sun, the moon, the lower part creates the earth, the mountains and the rivers. So where were all these beforehand? This is the stupidest shit ever, bro. I can't wait to the part where he starts rebuking this shit. Because the writer of the article literally just starts frying this shit. Like, alright, so if he's now creating everything, where the fuck was everything beforehand? Why did the people before you say everything was created by these guys that now you're saying are insignificant? Gee, I wonder why. So you can replace something. You can supplant him. Oh, jeez. I wonder if that part was added to in there. Oh, it's supplanted. Yeah, that sounds real nice, doesn't it? Directly linked to, at least in terms of ideas, Wings, yes, fathers. Who was replaced? Who you see? It's trying to say he replaced the cosmic trio of Anu, Enlil, and Ea. You see? They're trying to say this guy's above them. No way. This is when the author starts to lay into it. Whom upon this high honor and task normally bestowed. Normally it's, them that do this stuff. This text of 400 to Great Religious Revolution. Oh, I wonder why it was a Great Religious Revolution. Because they were completely going backwards. And that's why they were called Babylon, and why in the Bible it says, God's against them. You see? And that's why Babylon was a bad place. Told it's a fallen Christian kingdom. A kingdom that used to follow God and then they fall to the underworld. Babylonian priests placed their God at the head of the pathway. Has completed creation. Oh. The story may be divided into 3 distinct parts, which had been Sumerian but has become Babylonian. You see? Let's see. Explain. Third part, once the earth is built. The cities concerned are Nippur, the temple of Uruk. Uruk, with the temple of Nana, sacred cities of Enlil. Monocrates bricks of the cities had not existed along with their temples. The cities concerned are the cities of Sumerian principal gods. A symbiotic relationship between Eridu and Babylon, connected by the Sagalia temple, forms the basis of the ascension. This guy doesn't even understand this stuff, which had been Sumerian but now become Babylon. This guy. I'm going to show you those are the cities of the gods. They're not these Babylonian ones. Babylon came way later. It's a whole nother city. It's a whole nother city. It has nothing to do with Eridu. You fucking idiot. Even an encyclopedia failed, man. Look. Eridu Genesis, the oldest, right? Sumerian flood story, the real one. I'm about to tell you. Also known as Eridu Genesis, the flood story. Remember, they all start with the flood. The waters, remember? That's where they get the waters for the Marduk and all that shit. It's from the flood, you see? It's could be some truth in it, some lies in it too, obviously, Marduk. And then the flood story, the Sumerian creation myth, Sumerian deluge myth. It's not a myth, though. The oldest Mesopotamian text related to the tale of the Great Flood, which appeared in later works. Okay. Almost, Eridu. Okay, Babylon was founded in 2300, right when, the cavemen and stuff popped up. Remember, they said the cavemen ran it. They took it over in 2200. So after 100 years of them worshiping the wrong gods, basically becoming Babylon, the underworld gods, they fell to the underworld. You see, you worship and empower your enemy, you're gonna fall to your enemy. You see, why would you want to worship your enemy? That's like worshiping sin. Death. Something that's gonna kill you. This is the oldest. I don't know why I don't have this here. Um, founded when? You see, way ahead of time. That's real Sumerian. You see, 5,400, and it's actually believed to be much older than that. Actually, it's way older than that. Like 12,000 to 20,000 BC. But that aligns up with the Bible more. That 5,300 more. And then Babylon, right when the cavemen popped up. Watch. Remember, 2300. Remember, Gushans ruled in 2200. No, I'm not. I'll just let it sit. Oh, the exact same time. Especially about 2230, when they swept down into Babylon. You see? Just like the Bible said. See? That'd be the inhabitations of devils and all that stuff, right? Exactly what happened then, and that's what they're doing now. This new Babylon. You know who can, when they came here to kill a lot of the Native Americans just with this illness they had, this disease that they carry with them, They took a lot of them slaves. I think that's where most of them went. They call them Negroes and all that. So yeah, it predates it. So yeah, not the same place. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So with these books, families, you see? He's talking about how they're changing stuff. One important indication of the process begins on the increase. Oh, I get rid of that, man. This is so good. It's the way the words, it's not really is the fact that among the various meanings of Babylon, not here to do it. Keep trying. Yeah, stinky, yeah. That could have been a bad translation because the end was really. First city established on the earth according to Sumerian tradition. It's not Babylon. This tradition allows the Babylonian scholars to see two cities of Eridu and Babylon. See, they're two different cities. In the first instance, and they replaced the former with the latter. You see? That allows them to replace the former with the latter. You see? He's explaining how, okay, I thought he was being a fool, but he's explaining how, well, I just showed you, they're trying to replace it, you see? But they're two different cities, you see? This is without a doubt the first step in the slow development through which Babylon categorizes itself as an ancient city, when it's not. It's a freaking, it's the cavemen. I'm trying to tell you, bro. It's the underworlders. That's why they want you to worship all these lesser gods instead of the real ones that made all the great stuff. This without a doubt is the first step of that agency, dating from the earliest times and rising to the defended status of the first city founded by the gods. You see, the idea in the biblical story of the Tower of Babel. Remember? What did they say about this guy? He wanted to put his stars above gods. They're talking about him particularly. Wow. You said in your heart, I'll raise my throne above the stars of God. I'll sit enthroned in the mount of assembly, the utmost heights of the sacred mountain. You see? So what are these pyramids? Like I told you, they make it out of mountains, right? That's why a lot of these things they think are mountains over, and where is it? And this is Isaiah, so I know he's talking to the king of Babylon. They're basically these Babylonian creatures, you know? And they're fallen angel parents, and that's why they call them Nephilim, because it just means giants, you know, hybrids and stuff like that. Or actual fallen angels, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. This is so crazy how I'm like just absolutely right. It's a sacred mountain. You see, that's why Mount Zion is sacred. You see, because it's basically a temple. It's like a temple of God. You see. What are the other ones in America? Like it's the Grand Canyons. Those are actually pyramids, believe it or not. Believe it or not. Watch, Isaiah is rebuking the king of Babylon against king of Babylon. Watch. You see? The fall of the king of Babylon. Exact same chapter and everything. I know my stuff, bro. And that's why they don't want you knowing the Bible. They want to bastardize you from it. Because it's your God, man. They ain't no underworld God, you know. They ain't the serpent's God. It's our God, man. See? Don't make up a damn thing. They think it's Lucifer? No. He's talking about, he's talking to the king of Babylon. It's basically Nimrod and all that. Thinks he's God and all this stuff. Nah, buddy. He ain't the real God. You're a low God. He ain't the most high God. That's why they call him the most high. Duh. You know all this shit, bro. Let me pause here since you probably getting a good idea. But I don't want this to crash or anything now. It's all cool stuff. And then I'm gonna make this last part to end this